Hello, my name is Bradley and I'm your host of The Internal Game. Some quick announcements. I did bring back the YouTube membership side of the channel, so the link to join that is in the description. Apparently it still saved all my videos from before when I closed it down, so they're still in there. So yeah, also I did release a mini course called The Sacred Interference Pattern, how to stay grounded when reality fights back, which is like how to do a purge, like the purges, or like when nothing's happening or it seems like nothing's happening, kind of things like that. It is for $49. You can also get that in the description, or it is for free in the Skool membership, the Skool Community. Everything that I do as far as extra stuff is in the Skool Community for free, so it comes with the membership, but you can also purchase it outside of that. Okay, so today's reading is from the Presence-Based Identity ebook, and it is The Principle of I Am. Okay. I know we always talk about this consciousness and the I am, right? But what is that? So, the principle of I am. I am. Not followed by anything. Not limited by anything. Not defined by anything. And you guys hear me talk about this thing, this consciousness, right? Like, and how the mind doesn't know what that is, right? The mind wants to say, I am this, or I am that, and I am all these different things chosen. I am loved. I am all the stuff that we kind of intellectually understand. But like, the mind just doesn't know. The mind is very separate from, and it has its own little sense of self, okay? So when we say I am something, I am this, like I am not loved, right? Even these, like, let's just say you have like the unconscious belief that I'm not loved and I am abandoned, things like that, right? Well, once the mind takes on belief system, which is something like this, like I am something, right? An identity of sorts, mind-made self, it is very limited now, right? It's going to perceive things from this type of belief. I know you've heard me say many times, we don't see with our eyes. I learned this from Dr. Joe Dispenza. We don't see with our eyes, we see with our brain, our belief system, right? We can only see, so it's very limited, very, very limited. So when you see things like not limited by anything, I am is not limited by anything. It is not limited like the mind-made self of the I am this, I am that, right? And when we're trying to get these people in our life and we look at how we lost them, or how they left our physical experience, let's say that, our physical experience. We had some natural thoughts based on these things that we thought we were, right? Like I am abandoned, or I am not committed to, I am sucky in relationships, all these different things. I'm not worthy, right? All these things. And we started to perceive this person from this lens, and then it got pushed out. And then we stayed in the story, and now they're still over there, kind of thing, right? So you guys know I teach not buying into another mind-made self. The idea is to get out of the mind-made self entirely, and that is what the I am is, right? So it says just the raw awareness of being. Now, before I get into this, I want to say, like, people have came to me lately and say, okay, I'm practicing presence, but like I feel like I'm doing it to get something. And even though like the presence is feeling it's feeling good, like there's like no worries. The mind comes in, it's like, yeah, but you're doing it to get something. Well, check it out, who cares? At one time, I did it so I could not be in pain anymore. So I was doing it to get something or relieve something, right? But the more that you start to be observant of thought and get to this I am, a lot of things become irrelevant. You see that all masks are the same. Whether they're perceived good, perceived bad, it's still mask, right? And it doesn't really matter why you started to do it, because once you start to be observant of self and see these masks that you've been wearing, they start to drop. So it doesn't really matter if you do it because you're trying to get something, right? We all find things because we're trying to get something, I'm sure, right? Even if that's out of pain or a person or whatever the case may be, we're trying to get something out of it. So, yeah, get something out of it. But anyway, it says, before the words, before the thoughts, before the roles, before the image, there is I am. So you, before you came into this human experience and started to identify with thought and beliefs to be true about yourself, you were this thing, and you still are this thing. It's just covered up by a bunch of mental chatter and a bunch of thoughts that you think are relevant and important and true. Okay. But how true can they be if they can be changed? Right? And I'm being serious. Like, how true can they possibly be if they can be changed? Not too true, right? Now, granted, you do get a reflection of your state, things you believe to be true, your knowings, all this stuff. But they're changeable. So, do you know what's not changeable? The I am. It is unmoved by everything, because everything comes from it. What would it have to be concerned about? And so we take on these roles, like these manifestation roles, and we say, I am God now. I am God. I'm creator of my world and my universe, and this is how it's going to be. And boss up, another level. And then we start bossing up, and then right, we start buying into thought again. Does that feel like God to you? Is that something that the I am would experience? So it says, it does not need to become anything. It is whole in itself. It is silent power. It is the center of all identity. It does not need to become anything. Think about the video I released on not too long ago, I guess. Anyway, because it's not about a becoming, it's about an unbecoming. If you're already this I am, without the words after, the words that follow after, if you're already this I am, and you're already God, and you're already consciousness, you don't have to become that. You already are that. But what you're not is a mind-made self. The I am some things. The I am this. I am these thoughts. I am these behaviors. I am this past experience. I am what happened to me. These things you are not. Have you identified with them? Maybe so. Probably so. But are you these things at the core, the truth of who you are? No. So it's not about becoming chosen. It's not about becoming loved. It's not about becoming important. It's not about, you're as important as it gets. Literally. There's nothing more important than I am, than consciousness, right? So there's nothing to become. It's an unbecoming of these things that you're not. And you do that by bringing awareness to these thoughts, by disidentifying with these things that you think you are, these thoughts. And every time you do that, you'll get more in touch with what it is that you are, this I am. And you'll know that it's not followed by anything. It is whole in itself. Of course it is. It is silent power. Silence. Be still and know that I am God. It is silent power. It is not affirmation. I'm not saying that all these things aren't part of this God, because everything is God, but it doesn't need to affirm. Doesn't mean you can't. You can affirm if you want, but you don't need to. You just need to get silent in your power. Be still and know that you are God. Okay, so it is the center of all identity. It's the center of everything. When you rest in I am, you are no longer the mind trying to improve itself. You are no longer the story trying to be rewritten. You are awareness, unmoving, unshaped, and complete. So the mind needs, like this mind-made self, these things that we think we are, these I am some things, right? If we are not chosen, if our mind believes we're not chosen, then when we are finally chosen, we're going to be enough. Or I am not enough, but when I finally get this job, when I finally make this amount of money, I'll finally be enough, right? So it needs this becoming. It needs a past for its identity. It needs a future for salvation. Both are illusions. Right? And if state of being is king, if we're saying we're incomplete right now, waiting for this moment to make us happy, then we are going to meet this perceived future moment with the same amount of happiness, the same amount of completeness that we have right now in this moment. And that's what you need to know. So how are you complete within right now? And you're absolutely complete right here, right now, once you get out of the stories. And you'll realize this once you get out of the stories as to why you're not. Okay. You are awareness, unmoving, unshaped, complete. Okay, so I know we intellectually understand this. I'm awareness, I'm consciousness. But to actually understand it would be to be without thought, without judgment, without trying to conceptualize everything. And what does this mean? What does that mean? But the stillness in the moment, right here, right now. Right? Now, the scary part about this is you give up everything that you think that you are. As much as we say that we don't want these things, like, no, I don't want pain. I just want to be chosen. It's like, well, part of our identity is built around, like, if we've created these things, like someone leaving, heartbreak, these types of things that we find these channels for, then part of ourself is identified with the not being chosen, the abandonment, the not being enough, right? So that's what it actually wants, because it wants to stay consistent with how it sees itself. I know I sound like a little broken record sometimes, but like, I really want to hone these truths in for you. And let's focus on them, because that's what identity wants, is to stay the same. So every time that we're like reacting and like identifying with these thoughts again and being moved by thoughts and perceived circumstance, then we are staying this thing. This identity that we say that we want out of. But all identity is illusion, except the presence-based identity, of course, because it's not who you are. And when you can rest in this awareness, the stillness, the without judgment, conceptualizing, without the need to define things, animals, what people say, all these things, and just kind of get still within and be non-reactive, then you are unmoving, unshaped, and complete. And by the way, and for the people in manifesting journeys, which I'm sure we all are, right? Then the things that used to move you, they got all these things created in your physical experience. And now you're unmoved by these things that used to move you. Then these things that used to move you and are still continuing to move you have to move. Right? I'm unmoved by circumstances, therefore circumstances move, and there is no more powerful way to stay unmoved than to be in awareness. Now, like complete awareness. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing, but I am saying it's truth. Okay. This is the beginning of the internal game, to return to what you are before the world named you, before thoughts claimed you, and before fear shaped you. You do not need to add anything to I am. You do not need to fix anything from I am. You only need to remember it. Guys, my goal here, I think the idea for me anyway, isn't to be remembered one day in life. It's for you to remember who you are. That's the plan here. And all this stuff is cool, right? The people, the relationships, the money, the being able to afford different experience, all this stuff is cool. All the experience, right? But especially in romantic relationships, you are going to meet these people about as far as you've met yourself. You're going to be the relationship with them, with these people, will be a reflection of the relationship that you have with you. And if you are no longer buying into your unconscious activity, you're not going to buy into theirs. And if you're no longer buying into your own illusions, you're not going to be creating any assumptions that are not ideal assumptions about these people, because you're no longer going to be believing, or you're no longer going to be looking for confirmation of how you see yourself through them. And then you can actually kind of start dancing in the dancing in the area, right, that love actually exists in. Not an affirmation that you are love, but like actual love, the connectedness, the felt sense of oneness that you have with everything. And you can only do that when you get out of a separate based mind made self. And you would probably live more in union with this person. Actually, you would live more in union with this person, and it would actually be the harmonious relationship that you say that you want. Okay? So, rest in the being, not the doing. Rest in the I am, not in what follows. This is presence. This is identity. This is home. Not the identity with the I am this, but like what you actually are, your real identity. Right? The I am. You're going to come to many realizations all on your own, more so than anybody could ever teach you, when you start to be aware of self, when you start to like watch your own thoughts and your thought patterns, and decide to not be reactive when you used to be. In the moment you become aware of the feelings that maybe is being triggered inside, and you be in the thought patterns, and you say, actually, you know what, like I'm going to sit with this, I'm going to feel this. I'm not going to be reactive today. I'm going to be non-reactive. I'm going to sit in my silent power. I'm going to be still and know that I'm God. Again, being is always more powerful than affirming by like 1,016 times. So you don't need to affirm that you're God. Just be still and know it. You don't need to convince yourself that you're God. Just be still and know it. And if the affirmation thing, like again, I have no issues with affirmations. I really don't. If you're in a still place, and a stable place, kind of unmoved place, affirm for whatever you want, if that's what you want to do. I have no problem with it. But when you're trying to convince yourself that you are God, how's it working out? Like, do you really believe that? Because if you actually believed it in your mind, right, it still wouldn't be enough, because the mind doesn't know what that is. But you get what I'm saying. It's like, why would you be tripping? Why would you be worried? Why would you think, is this really going to work? I was doing great, but then I wasn't doing great. And then like, but I'm so God that a little thought has the power to rock me. It's not it. The mind's not God. It's part of it, just like everything else is, but it's not it. The still knowing, the stillness, the observer, the actual observer. By the way, if you are continuing these types of journeys here, like that I talk about on the channel, the presence-based identity paths, then the more you observe, you'll realize that, like I said in the beginning, that identity is the same, whether it be perceived good or perceived bad, whether that be the chosen one or the not chosen one, whether that be the one that's committed to or the one that's not committed to, hero and the villain, the yin and the yang. It's all identity, and it can't. And these things cannot exist in true observation of the mind. I mean, in true observation of awareness, because it surpasses all identity. Right? So it wouldn't matter if someone wouldn't matter. Whatever follows I am, whatever you say is following I am, is still identity. It's very limited. It is part of the same side, or it's part of the same coin as its opposite. It operates with very limited function. But the I am, the actual I am, not the I am somethings, that's what you want to try to return to, because that's what you are. Now, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Eckhart Tolle is one of these types of people who've realized this. His I am points in presence. kind of like what I talk about. It's not a concept to believe in. It is an experience to be lived. All thoughts, all mind-made self is not who you are. Experience the I am within you. The world shifts to you. You're not gonna. It's not. I mean, it's always gonna shift to you. So don't be worried that you're not gonna get your person, or like, does this presence bring me this? I feel like I should be affirming it, or I feel like I should be doing this and telling these stories. And it's like, dude, you can do whatever you want, but ideally, from this place. But you'll notice that the more that you live from that place, the less that you feel the need to do a lot of these things that we once thought was important to get these things, because we're already whole right now when we realize that, and then we stop chasing these things that we thought were going to make us whole and complete and loved and cherished and valued and validated and all that stuff, because we already have them, because we're no longer listening to mind shatters as to why we don't and why it's over there and why that person has it in their pocket. And then, paradoxically, it shows up. Because state of being is king and everything is in response to you. And you're no longer telling these stories as to what pushed these people out in the first place. Because you no longer identify with the person that told those stories. Okay? So, anyway, get in touch with the I Am. Presence-based ebook is also free in the Skool Community, or $5 on the website. Either way, get you a copy. Follow along with the teachings, and I shall see you soon.